What is up, everybody? I am Taylor. This is the Cranky Comic Book Review Show for, June 22nd, 2022. And yeah, this is the show where I review every book I read today, and I rank them in order from worst to best. And some weeks that's easy. Some weeks I'm like, well, that's awful, and that's great. And then you just kind of fill in everything in between. Yeah, this is not one of those weeks. This is one of those weeks where you're like, I don't know if you've ever had this, but you read something like, I don't know if I have an opinion about that. And I'm usually pretty opinionated. But there's a lot of books this week that are just kind of like, yeah, that's all right. So we're going to try our best. By we, I mean the voices inside my head and myself are going to try and bang our way through this one, and we'll see how it goes. No promises. I can just say right off the bat, this is probably not going to be my finest performance of all time. Which, that was June 2nd, 1987. I don't know. I just picked that date. That's probably not my finest performance of all time. But, yeah, let's do this. Worst to best. Everybody, there's no rules. I don't know why. All right, we're gonna arrange things as we go on this one because I'm just keep changing my opinions, such as they are. And some of these are from last week, but my LCS had damaged books, I don't even know. Maybe 2 weeks ago. Keeping up with shit is hard, people. I have no idea. So we're going to start off with this banger of a book, Thor 26, Banner of War. Sorry, Part 4. This is stupid. Like, this whole... Okay. Hulk, that written by Donny Cates, is god-awful trash. Thor, written by Donny Cates, up until recently, has been pretty decent. It's had its downs, it's had its ups, but it's been a fairly solid read. And instead, in this crossover, instead of elevating Hulk to the level of Thor, he's just kind of dragged them both down into the muck and made this stupid nonsense. It's just Hulk and Thor beating each other up in various ways, and he thinks he's clever by adding a new twist to things and like switching around who gets the powers and all that stuff. Honestly, my 5-year-old nephew, who's technically nearby right now, could probably have a more entertaining story than this, and have it make more sense and be more fun. This is just a dumb fucking book, and I really don't like it. I can't wait for it to be over. I really can't. It's almost enough for me to give up Thor. I'm not going to pick up Hulk, and this is fucking stupid. Pardon my language. It's going to be a swearing kind of day, too, people, even though I am a do-gooder. Hats available? Not yet. I probably should. Let me know if you want a hat like this available at taylorwinder.com. Link to that is down below. I'm thinking about adding more kind of accessories and apparel to the store. So if there's anything you want to see, leave me a comment or shoot me a message on Instagram at Empty Thought Balloon. I'll see what I can do, and I'll get it added. Next, one of my favorite covers of the week, connected covers. Star Wars Crimson Reign, number 5. This is the most non-ending, goddamn non-story in a while, too. I mean, Charles Soule is just dragging out this crap with Star Wars and has all these multi-part things. At first, there was War of the Bounty Hunters, which I didn't read all because it's 42 issues. And there's this Crimson Reign that I really only got because of these covers. I'm not going to get the next one. I don't care. It's all dialogue and it's boring. It's like watching a Phantom Menace at 3/4 speed. It's dull. And the art is dull. There's not much that happens in here. And then at the end, spoilers, nothing gets really wrapped up because there's another, series coming next. And I get that's the nature of episodic, Marvel storytelling and Disney and Star Wars nonsense. Nothing can be finalized. But when this is part 5 of 5, have some part 5 that actually wraps shit up a little bit or, really does something. And this does none of those things. It annoys me. It's a money grab, and good God, am I over it. I think that's probably my last Star Wars book I'm reading for a while. All right, and speaking of last books I'm reading for a while. Okay, this one I know came out last week or a week before or whatever. That doesn't matter. I'm late to the party. It's not much of a party. Amazing Spider-Man, number 3. I liked Zeb Wells' writing on Hellions. It was fun. It was quirky. It was off the wall. He did a great Mr. Sinister. And I like, also, when, a D-list villain gets elevated to status and, really does some badass evil stuff. That's fun. That's awesome. That's not this. This is that part of the boring action movie where the villain reveals their entire plan to a tied-up hero. That's this issue. And I really, really don't care for Romita Jr.'s art on this book. His squared-off jaws and stuff, I sometimes like, depending upon the title. Like, I think his Iron Man run back in the day I dug, and there's a few others, but I do not like him on Spider-Man. And I think his faces have gotten more abstract, and his, like, characters have gotten more stiff. Probably because when you get older, you get goddamn stiff. So you draw stiff people because you're stiff. I don't know. I'm not digging it. I'm done with it. I don't care. Tombstone's not a badass. And also, if you're going to have a time jump, which there's a time jump that happened in issue 1 where you're like, oh, 6 months ago, Spider-Man did something really dumb and evil and pissed everybody off. Whatever. Start explaining some of that shit. Don't drag it out like 60-some issues like that son of a bitch did in the last big arc. Yeah, I'm looking at you. You know who you are, goddamn Spencer. This is turning into a Spencer-y kind of thing where it's like, just tell the real actual story in this nonsense. Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. Next, we have Beware the Eye of Odin #1. This is alright. The art's entertaining. I actually dug the art by Odland. The story is by Doug Wagner. It's okay. It doesn't have like this sort of gravitas I would expect from this kind of story, and it also, or it doesn't lean far enough into the cartoonishness of it. It's kind of weirdly straddling like some kind of a couple of genres inside of a fantasy genre. It doesn't seem to really quite work for me. And also it ends in a weird-ish spot, cliffhanger. It's okay. Yeah, honestly, everything about this is okay. It kind of feels like it was written by somebody that tried to turn a D&D session into a game, and it's just not really working for me. It's like the start of a quest, but you don't even really get the start of the quest. You get the next step. Like there needed to be something before this to explain what the hell happened previously. Like maybe there's an issue 0 I missed or something. I'm not hunting it down. It's not good enough for me to give a shit. I don't know. It's like something's missing in this book, and it's hard to put a finger on. This is one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know, it's a struggle for me to come up with an opinion on. All right, next we have Marvel Voices Pride #1. This is a spec book. There's a couple first appearances in here. I can't name them all because I can't remember them all. It's a Pride book. You get some lighthearted Pride-y stories. The Loki story is kind of cool. The Hulkling and Wiccan story is stupid. The Guardians of the Galaxy story is really stupid. There's one other one in the middle that I'm forgetting. And then there's the main one that takes up most of this book, and that's the first appearance of Escapade and their sidekick / backup, which also was treated as kind of a joke. And I can't remember that character's name. And I was going to take it out, but we'll see if I can come up across it. Okay, Escapade, and let's see here. We're going to make some riveting content, people, here. Morgan Red. Okay, Morgan Red. The problem with it, as far as I'm concerned, is the Morgan Red character is treated as kind of a jokey backup in a lot of ways. And that can work. But then when you use the other story hook to try and explain the origin, it kind of weakens that. And it's aimed at a younger audience. You can tell that, and that's fine. But then they have this weird thing where they're running bottom panels that are that are Peanuts comics, and I really don't think the younger panel is going to know who the hell the Peanuts are and get that reference. I could be wrong, but whatever. It's not awful. I've read worse origin stories. It's a character that I doubt is going to take off and turn into a billion-dollar thing, but I'm never good at that stuff. But it is a first appearance. It is in Marvel Pride. It's an okay book. It's $10. It's kind of pricey. And it's not even square bound. It's $10 soft bound with a weak floppy-ass Marvel cover. So take that info for what you will. I got a feeling it's not going to be bought by a lot of folks. So if you want to just take a $10 gamble, like a scratch-off ticket, it's probably the worst books to do it on. But yeah, Escapade is in here. A couple of their random first appearances. Oh, there's another story that I forgot. That takes place at a meeting center, and I can't think of the name of Matt Fraction, Murdoch, Adam Murdoch, Leroy, Matt Murdoch, not Matt Murdoch. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That one's that's all right. It's not great, but it's all right. Hang on, got some rearranging to do here, people. Yeah, I got some rearranging to do here. I think I had these all cattywampus kind of order, so we're gonna shift these around a bit, and. Yeah, that'll work for now. I think. All right, we'll go this way. Something is boring the children to death. Number 24. This is not awful. If you like something's killing the children, you're gonna probably like this issue. There is a bit of plot advancement where you learn kind of the physical form of the newest monster. Spoilers. And you learn a little bit of what's coming after Erica. Spoilers. But that's just it. You learn a very little. This is glacially paced, and that's a Tynan thing. He's done it on Nice House on the Lake. He did it on Batman. Everything is just written to keep dragging this shit out. and it will, I'm almost certain, read better collected. I still don't love a lot of Werther Deladera's panels, although he's gotten less annoying with them. There's not as many panels that spread across 2 pages, but it's still, when it happens, it's not an effective storytelling device. And your eye just naturally has to go all the way across and then back over to the other page. And it doesn't make sense, and there's no reason for it. There's not even a good visual, artistic reason. It's not a dynamic panel he does this with. It's just he does it, and it's a trope of his at this point, and it's not a good one. And yeah, it's all right. Honestly, this is fine. As I said, if you like Something's Killing Children, you're gonna like this issue. If you don't, this is not gonna change your mind on it, because it's not a grand issue where anything really fucking happens. and that's my problem with a lot of, like I said, a lot of tiny stuff is like most issues, not much happens. Not much happens. So I think I might actually be to the point where I'm just gonna recollect it from here on out. It's just easier on me. And I think I can probably give better reviews of it and be a little bit more effective and save some money. Because this is what, $4, $5? I don't know. It's like a third of a gallon of gas. It's a lot of money. I can drive 7 miles on this book, people. All right. Yeah. Black Adam #1, cool cover, possibly my cover of the week, possibly, although I did like the Crimson Rain cover, that book was hot garbage. This is not bad. It's written by Christopher Priest, who's hit or miss for me. Art by Sandoval. The art by Sandoval's okay, although there are a couple panels where I'm like, I had to keep flipping back. You know, what happened? Who's this? Because it's not really very clear, especially at the very beginning of the book. There's a couple things where I'm like, what just happened and why? And like, it's not really ever dealt with. And maybe it's just me, but there's a couple panels where I was confused. My problem with this book, and this is probably just a me thing, it's the dialogue. And it's that part where the writer tries to like emulate an accent and or slang language by like writing it out. Instead of just leaving it up to the reader's imagination and writing it as a word bubble, like a standard English word bubble, and maybe like changing the lettering a bit, it's all like written so like if you read it and enunciate it the way it's written, you're supposed to like emulate an accent or emulate a method of speech or emulate the slang, and it just bugs me. I think some of that should be left up to the reader, and that definitely is just a personal gripe of mine. It's not awful, and it's not enough to deal break the book. And this is a setup issue. It's also not a very exciting setup issue. And like, there's the stuff that happens to Black Adam's okay. The other characters introduced in here pretty boring thus far. But if you're specking, it's not a horrible one to spec on. Not to spoil much. All right, Silver Surfer Rebirth #5. This won't change the world, although it, by definition it did, and then didn't, and did, and didn't. It's just a fun throwback, and it's the end of it all, and it resets everything to kind of the status quo for the most part. If you like 80s Silver Surfer, and you've already been reading this, you're gonna like this. If not, just wait for the collected edition and pick it up or read it digitally, because like it's not gonna, nothing in this issue is gonna be groundbreaking and be like, oh, I gotta pick up issue #5. It's a harmless book. That's about all I can say about it. I can't really get a whole lot more in depth to it because it's not, I don't think, meant to be super serious. It's meant to be kind of a throwback, and it is kind of a throwback. It's not deep storytelling. It's not crazy dynamic with anything else. It's got some cool art. It's got a little bit of like, you know, the typical things that happen to Silver Surfer in it, and it's got a little bit of Thanos in it, and it's all right. It's harmless. It's a harmless book. I don't know where that falls in the grading scale. Maybe CGC needs to come up with that. Like, we're grading this book as harmless. 6.2. All right, World's Finest #4, another harmless one. Honestly, Dan Moore's art is great. It's Mark Waid's writing that's just kind of like not going to change the world. And nothing about this is like revelatory or super exciting. There's something that happens in here that's like the first time ever. Don't spec on that because it's not going to be a long-term thing and it's not going to be much. And also, like, the big revelation of how to beat the bad guy here, not that crazy. Like, it's a Mark Waid. Like, you're not going to get anything that's, like, very far out there. It'll be solid. This is solid. And, like, but he kind of telegraphs his punches and you can see them coming. And, like, you can sort of see everything, every telegraph punch in this one. And honestly, the way they beat Green Lantern is pretty stupid. So, all right, Nocterra #11. I think this is the end of the arc, I believe. Maybe not. It feels like the end of the arc. It's all right. It's a solid book. This is the one of those that's kind of hard to hard to really give any new info on. If you like what's been going on in Nocterra, you're gonna like this. If you've given up on Nocterra, stay giving up on it. It's not an end. It's not the end of the overall story or anything. It's an end of this chapter, and it's all right. Some of the stuff that I thought would be happening or would actually make it pretty interesting kind of fizzled. Like the action scenes were like, all right, that should have been drawn out, and that should have been longer, and that should have been done a little bit cooler. Because in this kind of story, you kind of want some like cool, over the top, like badass action. There's some cool panels in here and some cool drawing, but the actual action, especially the fight that involves Blacktop Bill, it didn't really happen. So take that for what it's worth. It's fine. All right. How are we doing in order this time around? Just checking, people. Just checking to make sure I give you the best possible order of this hot mess of a week. Moon Knight number 12. This is 12 issues already? All right, yeah. McKay Capuccio wraps up the Zodiac arc. It sort of introduces stuff that, like, has been lacking in the Moon Knight title a little bit. It has a kind of cool new twist on the Moon Knight mythology. And it's fun. Like, again, this is another one that's kind of hard to really say much new about. Because, like, it does wrap it up, and it does so in a fun way, but it's not, again, not revelatory, not going to change the world. If you don't like what has been going on in here before, you're not going to like it, and, like, this is not going to draw a lot of new readers in. I really do enjoy Capuccio's art. I think he's got this, like, liquidy way of drawing figures that I really dig, and, like, his action and stuff, it's just kind of, I've not seen that before in a mainstream Marvel title, at least, and I'm enjoying that. So I like the art, and I'm a Moon Knight fan. And when Moon Knight is done well and is badass, it can be badass. And there's some badass stuff that happens in here. And that at some point in the comic, you're like, I just want some badass. And there is some badass in this one. So it's good. I wish it ended a little differently personally, because I was hoping for a little bit more badassery in that respect, but I get why it didn't. And I get that it's probably setting up for, like, maybe something a little more in-depth than's been happening in this book. I mean, this is a fun book, but it's like swimming in a kiddie pool. It's shallow. You know, like, you're not going to go diving off the deep end of it. You're just going to splash around and have some fun. And thus far, we might be upgrading from a kiddie pool to a 4-foot deep pool in this title. And that's kind of a welcome thing. So, all right, speaking of playing around in a kiddie pool full of prostitutes and cats and monsters and aliens, we weren't talking about that? Yeah, we were. We have Heavy Metal Drummer number 5. This book is nuts, and it's still nuts. I think the next issue is the last issue, if I remember right. So this is pick it up and trade. Honestly, it's a Behemoth Press. Emiliano Pliskin, I believe, is a writer, and Keith Fidlow is the artist. Even though I think they're written a little bit bizarrely on the cover, I believe that's how it is. This book is, just to summarize what the series is, this Heavy Metal Drummer sees aliens that are masquerading as octogenarian prostitutes. And he is killing all of these prostitutes that are aliens. And it might or might not be real. There's some signs that it might be. There's some signs that it might be in his head. It's very well drawn, and it feels like an underground comic. I mean, it's just it is an underground comic. It's just kind of bananas. And it's been bananas from day one. So if you want a bananas, like, crazy, kind of Daniel Warren Johnson-ish book, and kind of just really brightly colored, bizarre-ass alien invasion tale that looks like it could be from the 80s and, like, Kitchen Sink Press or something like that, pick up Heavy Metal Drummer. It's pretty fun. So it's not a bad book. It's one of the better ones this week. And we've got a couple left. I'm getting there. We're getting there, people. We're going to get through this ride together. Sorry. That might help the focus. I had that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Newburn number 8. This also wraps up the current run of Newburn until the fall. I think Zdarsky is taking a break on this because he's starting Batman and a couple other projects, so he's probably running out of time. Newburn's great. It wraps up the arc satisfyingly. It's a nice Newburn-y way of wrapping things up, which doesn't involve a whole lot of violence, although there's a bit more evil Newburn than before, and you see, like, kind of like hard-ass self in here, which I dig. And yeah, if you like noir modern day comics that star a kind of like gritty, almost gross anti-hero, you're gonna dig Newburn. The backup story is over. A backup story I really didn't give a shit about, and I really didn't give a shit how it ended in here, so that's all right. But, like, the main A story by Zdarsky and Jacob Phillips, top notch. Probably, again, we're just at this point get it collected. So Newburn number 8. speaking of wrapping up the arc, so also maybe the theme of this week is like okay books that wrap shit up. We have Red Room Trigger Warnings number 4. It's gorgeous and gross, which is what I come to expect out of Red Room. Red Room's like these torture porn dark web sites. They're called Red Rooms, and Ed Piskor, it's a one-man show doing all this. He's doing the writing, the drawing, the lettering, all of it. And it's a solid ending. It's a little more disjointed than his previous issues, which is okay. It's just kind of a little, not necessarily too dense, but it's just the structure of the story was not my favorite as far as issues go. I think he might have drawn himself in here. I'm not sure. I might try and take a photo of that and tag him and see if like that's accurate. I mean, it's torture porn. It's gross. It's like 3 interwoven tales in this one issue, and I mean it's quality. It's Fantagraphics, and it's like a thick cardboard stock cover and like quality paper. This is probably the best quality book printed right now. It's like they don't skimp on any of that. I mean that's also what, $5? I think it's $5. It doesn't matter. Oh, $4, only $4, so not bad considering whatever your other book is called. And I mean, but it's just there is a denseness to this issue, so you're reading a lot of text and a lot of all that and stuff. And then yeah, it does wrap up the arc, and it does it so satisfyingly. If you've liked Red Room up until now, you're gonna like this issue. If you're grossed out by this kind of thing, stay away from it. It's not for kids. It's pretty profane, and it does have some like pretty gross looking stuff that happens in here, like the human centipede-ish looking thing on the cover. All right, next. Two more. Stick with me. We're almost there. Nightwing number 93. Again, it's a solid issue. Very well drawn by Bruno Redondo. Very solidly written by Tom Taylor. It's also kind of telegraphs its punches a bit. You can kind of like predict what's going to happen once you see the setup of the situation, right? Now that said, that's not always bad. It's a very satisfying way it happens in here, and it's more satisfying than say the World's Finest, and it's an enjoyable book. It continues to be an enjoyable book. I'm just having trouble this week because there's like not a lot of new like fun insights I can bring to this kind of thing, or even not a lot of new crankiness. Maybe I should just change my channel to like guys that sighs a lot and talks about books every week. That doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? But whatever. Again, it's one of DC's better books. If you're enjoying Nightwing, you're going to enjoy this issue. And, oh, man, I feel like crap. There is something that happens to one of the characters. I can't remember, Heartbreak or Heart, whatever the heck. There's something that happens to that one that's kind of badass. What the hell's the name of the character? Can't even think of the name of the character. Heartless. Okay, I thought Heartbreaker was the name. Doesn't matter. Heartless. So you learn a bit about Heartless, and that's pretty awesome. And you like, what's the other guy's name? The Man Mountain Marco? No, whatever the DC version is of that character. Does some cool stuff. The guy that runs Bloodhaven, a Nightmare. I'm awful with these bad guy names. But whatever. Fun stuff. Fun book. Solid. Not spectacular. That's what a lot of these this week. Just solid, but not spectacular. And it's monthlies. A lot of these are DC and Marvel, and like last week there was I don't think any, and so like that's what you're gonna get ideally with DC and Marvel. Like I am not complaining when I say it's solid. It's a monthly superhero title. They're not all gonna be fantastic, but if it's solid, I'm okay with that. And this is solid, and I'm okay with that. It's just I know it sounds like I'm a complaint, but that just kind of is what it is. If they can put out monthly solid books, that's great. It's just a lot of these monthly things are garbage, and I like the solid ones. All right, this book came out I think last week as well, but my LCS was late getting it, and it's by Bliss on Tap Publishing, which is a small press. I really liked the first issue a lot. It was Duel, and this is issue number 2 of 10. This does not quite reach the clever, badass heights of the first issue, but it's still a pretty damn good book, and it's a lot of fun. Curtis Martin is writing Alex Cormack on the art, and this is sort of I've never seen The Purge, but it kind of feels like that what this would be, and I wouldn't be surprised if this gets turned into a movie. Basically, licensed or not quite legal, but dueling has sprung up in the world where you challenge somebody to a fight to the death, and if they accept like. One of you has to kill each other, or also a bounty gets released to the world and they get to kill you, and then the winner gets some money and the loser is dead. So it's an interesting enough idea, and it takes that and it kind of like twists it and spins it around. The first issue dealt with a different character than this one for this issue for the most part, and I think that's going to be the kind of the nature of this book. I think it's going to have a sort of anthology feel with a little bit of a B plot in the background that maybe ties it all together. But it's a solid story. If you like the first one, I would say pick this one up. It was the best book of that I read this week. By a fair amount. I almost forgot about the others, and I was like, maybe I should just talk about this one. I like the art a lot. Like it's Alex Cormack. I'm not familiar with a lot of their art, and it's got this kind of neutral but with hints of brightness color palette that's really nice. The action's pretty straightforward and easy to follow. I don't love the lettering in cases like the black on purple. Not a huge fan of. That's hard to read in some areas, but that's probably nitpicking, and it does get a bit verbose in the dialogue department. Some of that is, I think, just necessary due to the nature of the story that's told in this issue, but it's a solid story. I don't want to spoil what happens in this, because as soon as I start talking about the plot, I probably will spoil it, and I don't want to get into that. So, just if the idea of the framework intrigues you, and you can find issue number 1, hunt that one down for sure. Issue number 2, you can probably pick it up and still be fine. You're going to lose out on a little bit of stuff. But I don't know how many shops carry Bliss on tap. Ask your LCS or find it online if you can. Yeah, it's also a $5 book. A little pricey, but I think it's worth it. I do think it's the best book of the week. And yeah, that's what you got for me this week. So, as always, don't be a dick. I mean, maybe be a little bit of a dick. It's kind of a dickish world out there right now. But don't be a bigger dick than anyone else is. Like, don't out-dick anybody. Like, just stay at the same level of dickishness as everybody else. All right. Anyways, yeah, let me know if you want me to add, like, more hats and stuff to the store. Like I said earlier, TaylorWinder.com. Hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm trying to get to 1,000. I'm going to give away a bunch of shit when I do. If you like free shit, subscribe to my channel. You might win some free shit. See ya.